All right, beautiful people. Look at this thing. Okay. I left my water upstairs. Top of the day, beautiful people. I'm getting something. Hold on. Slow shout. What's going on? So you got the notification today. So you probably just looking out. I saw your comment yesterday. I don't know if you saw my response. But yeah, YouTube and their shenanigans. I don't know what's going on. It is just doing some weird stuff. Unsubscribing people. I don't have any kind of button to unsubscribe anybody, so you know it wasn't me. They deleting my comments or hiding them. Some videos got you can go and look, and it'll normally show you the number of comments under. It says like 700 comments. None of my videos, well, I can't lie, 2 videos have that many comments under it. But you will only see, if it say like 700 and something, you may only see 100, you know. But so I'm not sure about them hidden ones. So either the people are deleting their own comments, or YouTube is deleting them, or it's violating something, they're hiding it or whatever, you know. But yeah, but I haven't deleted any. With the exception, I will say I have deleted one, and I blocked the one person. And that's because they was plucking my last nerve. I was going to ignore them and leave them alone. Then they started calling me names and stuff, and I ain't having that in my class. You ain't got to come to my channel. Go somewhere else and do that. Right? You already know. So, but yeah. But for the most part, I let people be. They'll stay around for a while. And if it's not for them, they'll roll on. Right? Okay. What is this? All right, beautiful people. Happy Tuesday. It is December the 7th, 2021. Day 321 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And of the 3-year consecutive day count is day 989. Today, y'all, we are reading Proverbs 10, 11, and 12. And then we are going to read the rest of the true authorship of the New Testament for the second time. And we started on page 19. Yep, 19. And we'll go all the way to the end of the day. All right. Y'all, I've been learning a lot of stuff. I'm going to share with y'all. I'm trying to figure out a way how to tie it all in with everything. You know, I want to make sure it's pertinent to our daily reading while we get the scriptures down deep in our sha-na-na. Somebody don't know what sha-na-na is? It's another term I use for spirit. Okay, y'all, let me pull this up. Okay. All right, y'all. So let's go to the Shema chapter. And let's get this read today. It's a call for wholehearted commitment. Deuteronomy chapter 6. These are the commands, decrees, and regulations that Yahuwah, your God, commanded me to teach you. You must obey them in the land you are about to enter and occupy. And you and your children and grandchildren must fear Yahuwah, your God, as long as you live. If you obey all his decrees and commands, you will enjoy a long life. Listen closely, Israel, and be careful to obey. Then all will go well with you, and you will have many children in the land flowing with milk and honey, just as Yahuwah, the God of your ancestors, promised you. Listen, O Israel, Yahuwah is our God, and he is one, alone. And you must love Yahuwah your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands that I am giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you're at home and when you're on the road, when you're going to bed and when you're getting up. Tie them to your hands and wear them on your forehead as reminders. Write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah, your God, will soon bring you into the land he swore to give you when he made a vow to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It is a land with large, prosperous cities that you did not build. The houses will be richly stocked with goods you did not produce. You will draw water from cisterns you did not dig, and you will eat from vineyards and olive trees you did not plant. When you have eaten your fill in this land, be careful not to forget Yahuwah, who rescued you from slavery in the land of Egypt. You must fear Yahuwah your God and serve him. When you take an oath, you must use only his name. You must not worship any of the gods of the neighboring nations, for the Lord your God, who lives among you, is a jealous God. His anger will flare up against you, and he will wipe you from the face of the earth. You must not test Yahuwah your God as you did when you complained at Massa. You must diligently obey the commands of Yahuwah your God, all the laws and decrees he has given you. Do what is right and good in Yahuwah's sight, so all will go well with you. Then you will enter and occupy the good land that Yahuwah swore to give your ancestors. You will drive out all the enemies living in the land, just as Yahuwah said you would. In the future, your children will ask you, what is the meaning of these laws, decrees, and regulations that Yahuwah our God has commanded us to obey? Then you must tell them, we were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt, but Yahuwah brought us out of Egypt with a strong hand. Yahuwah did miraculous signs and wonders before our eyes, dealing terrifying blows against Egypt, Pharaoh, and all his people. He brought us out of Egypt so he could give us this land he had sworn to give our ancestors. And Yahuwah, our God, commanded us to obey all these decrees, to fear him, so he can continue to bless us and preserve our lives, as he has done to this day. For we will be counted as righteous when we obey all the commands of Yahuwah that he has given unto us. All right, beautiful people. So let's hop to our reading for today from the Holy Writ, Proverbs chapter 10. The Proverbs of Solomon. The Proverbs of Solomon. A wise child brings joy to a father. A foolish child. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. Messages keep coming in. People texting me first thing this morning. Let me start over. The Proverbs of Solomon. A wise child brings joy to a father. A foolish child brings grief to a mother. Tainted wealth has no lasting value, but right living can save your life. Yahuwah will not let the godly go hungry, but he refuses to satisfy the cravings of the wicked. Lazy people are soon poor. Hard workers get rich. A wise youth harvests in the summer, but one who sleeps during harvest is a disgrace. The godly are showered with blessings. The words of the wicked conceal violent intentions. We have happy memories of the godly, but the name of a wicked person rots away. The wise are glad to be instructed, but babbling fools fall flat on their faces. People with integrity walk safely, but those who follow crooked paths will be exposed. People who wink at wrong cause trouble, but a bold reproof promotes peace. The words of the godly are a life-giving fountain. The words of the wicked conceal violent intentions. Hatred stirs up quarrels, but love makes up for all offenses. Wise words come from the lips of people with understanding, but those lacking sense will be beaten with a rod. Wise people treasure knowledge, but the babbling of a fool invites disaster. The wealth of the rich is in their fortress. Okay, I was making sure I was reading that right. The wealth of the rich is in their fortress. The poverty of the poor is their destruction. The earnings of the godly enhance their lives, but evil people squander their money on sin. People who accept discipline are on the pathway to life, but those who ignore correction will go astray. Hiding hatred makes you a liar. Slandering others makes you a fool. Too much talk leads to sin. Be sensible and keep your mouth shut. I love that verse. The words of the godly are like sterling silver. The heart of a fool is worthless. The words of the godly encourage many, but fools are destroyed for their lack of common sense. The blessings of Yahuwah makes a person rich, and he adds no sorrow with it. Doing wrong is fun for a fool, but living wisely brings pleasure to the sensible. The fears of the wicked will be fulfilled. The hopes of the godly will be granted. When the storms of life come, the wicked are whirled away, but the godly have a lasting foundation. Lazy people irritate their employers, like vinegar to the teeth or smoke in their eyes. Fear of Yahuwah lengthens one's life, but the years of the wicked are cut short. The hope of the godly result in happiness, but the expectations of the wicked come to nothing. The way of Yahuwah is a stronghold to those with integrity, but it destroys the wicked. The godly will never be disturbed, but the wicked will be removed from the land. The mouth of the godly person gives wise advice, but the tongue that deceives will be cut off. The lips of the godly speak helpful words, but the mouth of the wicked speaks perverse words. Josiah, shalom. Mom, shalom. What else here? I can't see it. Belinda Brown. Hey, Auntie. I saw your text come through, too. I got to go back and look at it. Proverbs chapter 11. Yahuwah detests the use of honest scales, but he delights in accurate weights. Pride leads to disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom. Honesty guides good people. Dishonesty destroys treacherous people. Riches won't help on the day of judgment, but right living can save you from death. The godly are directed by honesty. The wicked fall beneath their load of sin. The godliness of good people rescues them. The ambition of the treacherous traps them. When the wicked die, their hopes die with them, for they rely on their own feeble strength. The godly are rescued from trouble, and it falls on the wicked instead. With their words, the godless destroy their friends, but knowledge will rescue the righteous. The whole city celebrates when the godly succeed. They shout for joy when the wicked die. Upright citizens are good for a city and make it prosper, but the talk of the wicked tears it apart. It is foolish to belittle one's neighbor. A sensible person keeps quiet. A gossip goes around telling secrets, but those who are trustworthy can keep a confidence. Without wise leadership, a nation falls. There is safety in having many advisors. There's danger in putting up security for a stranger's debt. It's safer not to guarantee another person's debt. I mean, don't co-sign for nobody. You'll find yourself in some trouble if they decide they don't want to pay their debt and they want to go start hiding from the repo man. Trying to hold on to it, and they coming after you for the money somebody else owes. Stay away from it, people. We want to co-sign for our children. Not that we have any doubt that they ain't going to pay their debts, but sometimes they have a little lapse of memory. We're like, look, you better get yourself together. Don't destroy your name. Pay what you owe. Right? All right. But don't co-sign for nobody, y'all. And if it's your spouse or something, that's different. You shouldn't be co-signing. This should be a joint venture. Right? but still use wisdom. Don't buy stuff you can't afford. Listen. There's danger in putting up security for a stranger's debt. It's safer not to guarantee another person's debt. A gracious woman gains respect, but ruthless men gain only wealth. Your kindness will reward you, but your cruelty will destroy you. Evil people get rich for the moment, but the reward of the godly will last. Godly people find life. Evil people find death. Yahuwah detests people with crooked hearts, but he delights in those with integrity. Evil people will surely be punished, but the children of the godly will go free. A beautiful woman who lacks discretion is like a gold ring in a pig's snout. The godly can look forward to a reward, while the wicked can expect only judgment. Give freely and become more wealthy. Be stingy and lose everything. The generous will prosper. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. People curse those who hoard their grain, but they bless the one who sells in time of need. If you search for good, you will find favor. But if you search for evil, it will find you. Trust in your money, and down you go. But the godly flourish like leaves in spring. Those who bring trouble on their families inherit the wind. The fool will be a servant to the wise. The seeds of good deeds become a tree of life. A wise person wins friends. If the righteous are rewarded here on earth, what will happen to the wicked sinners? Last chapter for the day, y'all. Proverbs chapter 12. To learn, you must love discipline. It is stupid to hate correction. Yahuwah approves of those who are good, but he condemns those who plan wickedness. Wickedness never brings stability, but the godly have deep roots. A worthy wife is a crown for her husband, but a disgraceful woman is like a cancer in his bones. Don't be a disgraceful woman, women. I'll read it again. A worthy wife is a crown for her husband, but a graceful woman is like a cancer. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Did I say graceful or disgraceful? Let me go back again. A worthy wife is a crown for her husband, but a disgraceful woman is like cancer in his bones. The plans of the godly are just. The advice of the wicked is treacherous. The words of the wicked are like a murderous ambush, but the words of the godly save lives. The wicked die and disappear, but the family of the godly stands firm. A sensible person wins admiration, but a warped mind is despised. Better to be an ordinary person with a servant than to be self-important but have no food. Every time I read it, I think about people who be riding around in very expensive cars, Mercedes, and they can be depending on what class you get, and BMWs and stuff, and some of these other classy vehicles, riding around, and they ain't got but $2 to put in their gas tank. Bruh, what sense does that make? Your priorities are all screwed up, right? And I ain't talking about maybe just, you had a short week or something, but like all the time, you put like $2 in your gas tank. Or you got this beautiful vehicle and you live in the hood. Your priorities is all chopped and screwed. Okay. Listen, I'll go back. It's just every time I read it, I think about people that do that. A sensible person wins admiration, but a warped mind is despised. Better to be an ordinary person with a servant than to be self-important but have no food. The godly care for their animals, but the wicked are always cruel. A hard worker has plenty of food, but a person who chases fantasies has no sense. Thieves are jealous of each other's loot, but the godly are well-rooted and bear their own fruit. The wicked are trapped by their own words, but the godly escape such trouble. Wise words bring many benefits, and hard work brings reward. Fools think their own way is right, but the wise listen to others. A fool is quick-tempered, but a wise person stays calm when insulted. Like I gave like a little example today about the person that I did block when I was talking to Slow Show. I was saying I don't block too many people. You know, I kind of let it ride, right? I ignore you. I could have went back and forth with them. Don't you call me this? I ain't got time for all that, right? A fool is quick-tempered, but a wise person stays calm when insulted. Block. And an honest witness tells the truth. A false witness tells lies. Some people make cutting remarks, but the words of the wise bring healing. Truthful words will stand the test of time, but lies are soon exposed. Deceit fills the hearts that are plotting evil. Joy fills the hearts that are planning peace. No harm comes to the godly, but the wicked have their fill of trouble. Yahuwah detests lying lips, but he delights in those who tell the truth. The wise don't make a show of their knowledge, but fools broadcast their foolishness. Work hard to become a leader. Be lazy and become a slave. Worry weighs a person down. An encouraging word chills a person up. The godly give good advice to their friends. The wicked lead them astray. Lazy people don't even cook the game they catch, or when they go hunting the animals that they catch, they don't even cook it. Lazy people don't even cook the game they catch, but the diligent make use of everything they find. The way of the godly leads to life. That path does not lead to death. All right, beautiful people. That was our reading for today. That was Proverbs 10, 11, and 12. I really like reading those slow, and the Psalms too, because sometimes it just need to sink down deep in your shanana. Yahuwah is one. Shalom. Let the great spirit of Yahuwah bless you. Can we please ask, what is your view on couples which decide not to marry and have kids? Well, personally, I think that's their own choice. I really do. If you ask me my opinion, that's my opinion. Now, as personally for my life, I've been married 20 years, so that's explanation enough on what I believe. But I'm not saying that it can't work if couples don't decide to get married, because there are reasons people get married. I mean, well, there are reasons people get married, but there are reasons that people decide not to get married, like legally, and have paperwork documented and still decide to stay together and have children, right? And those I've learned those are a multitude of things, right? And some people, because of benefits that they may lose if they get married, that's a reason why. There's a lot of reasons. But for somebody that don't have anything that's going to be taken away from them, and they just decide, we just don't want to get married, like in the court of the law, and just be together and have kids like a common law marriage. Okay. I mean, that's your business. I want to say this. I don't want, not saying that you guys are, but I got to be careful with my words. I'm not saying that is the way you should go, but some people just choose to do that. If you choose not to make it an official union where it's recognized in the city, province, state, or the country where you're at, that's your choice. And if you decide not to do that in the court of a law where your union is recognized by the state you live or wherever you go, then you just lose out on some of the benefits that corporation, and i.e. when I say corporation, I mean the state or the city, because there are states and cities that are incorporated, meaning they're literally a business, and they, without getting into too many details, they profit from your paperwork and your union on the backside, things that you would never know until you get in trouble. And then the employer needs to deal with their employees who are cutting up and acting a fool. And they're going to sit you before the judge, right? Without getting into too many details about that. And I think y'all are in the UK, so you may not quite understand that because we're here in America. But I think it happens the same way in other countries, if I'm not mistaken. I know for certain it does here in the United States and every single state here. But I'm not against it. But those are my personal views. I'm not against it, you know. But there are some benefits if you live in certain places by actually having the paperwork for that, i.e. taxes, right? Some people don't care about taxes, but if you're a citizen of the United States, then that's one thing that's certain that you're going to be paying, whether you're an employee or an employer, is taxes, right? And you get some breaks for being married, you know, and you can have that paperwork. But if not, you know, there's just certain things you can't take advantage of, and they're going to tax you more. You're going to pay more taxes, you know, so that's a conversation that can go either way. Some people feel like, oh, you better get married, you committing sin. Against who, really? The state that you live or the country where you live? Granted, you should follow the laws of the land. You want to be in peace and harmony with everybody. But, you know, it's your choice. Even the IRS, if you're not married, there are just certain ways that you can't file your taxes. You need to file them honestly and truly based on your status. And it shouldn't be a lie. So if you choose to live that way, then file your taxes that way and pay more taxes to the man, right? You know, that's my view on couples who decide not to marry and have kids. I think it's a further step in commitment to one another if you do. I think it kind of seals the bond between one another when you do get married. Now, some people may not necessarily care about that, and some people still go outside of that bond, but that's designed. I think mentally it does something, you know, for the women who decide that they want to be married. You know, they may want to get married. Maybe the male counterpart doesn't, and vice versa. You know, I've seen both sides. But I think it does something for you mentally and spiritually when you do decide to make it official and have something and say, hey, I got the ring, or I got the t-shirt. We did that, right? I think it brings an extra level of protection to your union, to your family. I just think it's another level of encapsulation to your union and your empire, whatever it is you're trying to build. If you say, let's go ahead and make this official, right? Let everybody know that this is official. You know, I think it should deter outsiders from trying to approach one or the other, right? Look, I'm sold up, bro. I'm already committed to another, right? I think it closes the door. Well, it should close the door to others. You let you know you're committed here, you know, because we made an official commitment that this was what we're going to do. And sometimes when you don't make that official commitment and decide not to get married but still live the married way, I think that's still like an open door. If this don't quite work out, you know, I'm going to go ahead and step and you're going to do what you need to do. But I think it's people's choice, right? I think it depends on how mature they are and if they're ready to commit, because a lot of people say forever. Marriage is forever. I mean, it should be, right? You should have one lifelong partner where you can grow with in every way spiritually. And it's a union that should take you to complete enlightenment, to learning how to be one with your creator, right? Marriage is the next level in our education here on earth, on how to connect with the divine, how to connect with Yah, right? Remember how Israel, she's married to Yah. Yah's the husband, Israel is the wife. He wants Israel to be completely committed to him, sold up, right? Leave everybody else alone. Everything that we do here on the earth is a representation, and it should teach us that if we will allow it to, right? But some people don't just want one lover. They want many lovers, right? That's your choice. It's not a choice I would choose, but that's my view on it. Yahuwah is one. I hope that helps. So, all right, y'all. With that being said, let's go back to our reading, the true authorship of the New Testament. Y'all, we're going to be finishing this today. Where we at? We at 30 minutes, so let me get reading. All right, yeah, we're definitely going to finish this today. All right, y'all, so we pause on the middle of the page, on page 19. The proof that Josephus was really Calpurnius Piso. Quote, "For nothing is hidden except to be revealed, nor has anything been secret but that it should come to light." End quote. And that's found in Mark chapter 22. By now, the reader should well understand how Josephus was found to be the author of the Jesus story in the Synoptic Gospels, that he was the Joseph writing himself in as the Father and as Jesus, and writing his three sons in as the three main disciples. And because Josephus was not born until the year 37 CE, the effect was to prove Jesus a fictional alter ego of Josephus. And the reader will have understood, too, the proofs that Calpurnius Piso inserted himself and his family repeatedly by numbers and other methods into the Gospels, and that he apparently was Josephus. But the reader will still wonder how the transition was made. How does one, realizing Josephus created the story, come to the conclusion that he was, in fact, Calpurnius Piso? There is a great mystery in the figure of Flavius Josephus. Here is a supposed descendant of Hasmonean royalty who, according to his own writings, after apparently defending Galilee and its town of Joppa bravely, flees to a cave, and then, after his companions commit suicide, himself surrenders to the Romans and is spared. This was even though, This was even though, during the siege of Joppa, Josephus had his men pouring boiling oil down upon the Romans and boiling fenugreek over the Roman assault planks. Yet, when he ultimately surrenders to the Romans, they do not instantly lift his head. For he prophesies, "You will be Caesar, Vespasian. You will be emperor, you and your son here." Therefore, allegedly, Vespasian merely imprisons him while he waits to ascertain whether the prophecy will be fulfilled. Then the emperors house him for some 30 years in Rome while he writes Jewish history books in addition to the gospel stories, and he marries his granddaughter and his children, as decipherable from Pliny's letters, into the Roman aristocracy. Truly, the cat with 9 lives. The letters of Pliny referred to above will be helpful once again. They, along with the writings of Josephus and those of the Roman historian Tacitus, all presently obtainable in Loeb classical library editions, are the chain which ultimately leads one to the true identity of Flavius Josephus, and in the process also reveals the portrayal of Josephus as the Jewish general captured by the Romans to be entirely fictional. In Pliny's letters, I'm reading it too fast. Okay. In Pliny's letters, that particular one of the various identities of Josephus in which he is Pliny's wife's grandfather is Calpurnius Fabatus. And soon we find the name of Calpurnius again. In Josephus's The Jewish War, he inserted himself as Cestius Gallus when he was the Roman general who provoked the Jewish revolt. For he saw himself as Gallus, the priest or midwife of the new God he was creating. Jesus, I said it like it wasn't the end of the sentence. Let me read that again. For he saw himself as Gallus, the priest or midwife of the new God he was creating, Jesus. Soon, in the Jewish war, Cestius Gallus has an assistant, Cassinius Gallus, commander of the 12th Legion, but he is still Gallus, that is, Josephus. Then Caesianus Paetus appears as governor of Syria, but because he is still Caenius, he is still Josephus. Moreover, the name Paetus seems familiar. It had appeared in the writings of the Roman historian Tacitus as Thrasymachus, Stoic philosopher, killed by Emperor Nero about the year 65. In Tacitus, a few pages earlier, Nero also kills the leader of a group of conspirators who plot his life. The leader is named Calpurnius Piso. Somehow he seems to resemble Thrasymachus Paetus. Could they be identical? Moreover, the name of Calpurnius reminds one of Calpurnius Fabatus, which was Josephus's name in Pliny's letters when he was Pliny's wife's grandfather. At this point, the following steps quickly occur. 1. One checks a Latin classical dictionary and finds the famous Calpurnius Piso family. Number 2, from a Latin dictionary, one also finds the source of the Piso name as Pistor, Pistor, meaning one who ground, or a miller, or a baker. He then thinks of the many allusions to the baker and is caught up on the trail of breadcrumbs. Number 3, he thus realizes that Josephus was a Calpurnius Piso. Number 4, the conspirator Calpurnius Piso of about the year 65 appears to have perished in fact, and not merely in literature in Tacitus Annals, book 15. It's a Roman numeral. XV, the X is 10, the V is 5. 15, I got that right? Somebody that know Roman numerals? In Tacitus Annals, book 15. But Tacitus explains that others of the conspirators are exiled or given immunity, these including Natalis, or Nativity, whom Tacitus described in as being the partner of Piso in all his secret councils. Like Monteus, the mountain, is spared out of consideration for his father when Thrasymachus Paetus is killed. Number 5, one recalls that Josephus appears in Judea a year later as Cestius Gallus. Number 6, then one realizes that 1, Josephus was the son of the condemned conspirator Calpurnius Piso and was himself also a Calpurnius Piso, and 2, many others have themselves previously followed this same trail of breadcrumbs. This, then, is the method of learning that Josephus was really Calpurnius Piso. That is, unless one happens to be an evangelist and has already been so informed in seminary or by another evangelist. It now quickly becomes apparent that Josephus was not an expatriate Jew who created Christianity in order to subvert or improve Rome. Rather, he was a Roman who was Jewish only technically because his Roman father had married a descendant of the Herods. His actions were in order to spread the power of Rome, and particularly of his own Calpurnius Piso family. Thinking of Josephus as a Roman and not as a Jew, one then realizes his native language was not Hebrew nor Aramaic, but Latin and Greek. One begins to think of those various numbers used by him in his writings in terms of code in the Greek language. Then, if he begins to work through the Greek alphabet, he finds the various numerical equivalents of the letters, and ultimately, he may unravel Piso's various numerical code systems. Robert Betwabu. All right, y'all. Next section is section 10, the inner circle. For now we see yet in a mirror, in a riddle, but then face to face. End quote. And that's found in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 12. This knowledge has always been the plaything of the non-Jewish intellectual theological, and political establishments of the world, who have always used it for population control. Yet still today, almost no Jews know anything about this subject, nor that our ancestors' coded responses to Piso's creation are scattered all through our ancient writings and ritual. The only Jewish religious leadership who have known are the very few leaders who have espoused wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. Their arostic. It is not arostic. Their acrostic was chosen because its initial letters totaled 14, and the total of all its letters in regular numbering was 614. They did not tell their followers, but instead, being armed with the information, inspired them to be brave in dress and mobile approach. That was their way of answering the Pisos. Although more than 99 and Although more than 99 and 44 of 100% of us Jews know nothing of all this, we think we know. And we spend our time disputing whether Mary was an Alma, a young woman, or Besula, virgin. Oh, we talked about that before, didn't we? The difference? Okay. Let me underline this. I didn't realize this was in here. Hold on. And this is referring to the prophecy of the Virgin Mary, and I'm linking that back to Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, where it said the virgin shall bear a child. You know, that right there, where they saying that it was the Immaculate Conception. Yeah, okay. I think there's actually a video I did with Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14 in the title, but we get deep into that. Okay. We think Jesus was historical, that he was a reformer who ran afoul of Roman power and was crucified by it, and that later Paul convinced non-Jews that he was divine. We fear to read the New Testament for dread it would jump up and bite us in the nose, and because our tradition discourages reading it, whereas studying it and pondering its authorship is the first step to deciphering the mystery of the gospel. However, in those days, Jews, and particularly their rabbis and leaders, knew what the Pisos were doing. All three Jewish revolts against Rome occurred because of the efforts of the Pisos through Roman power to impose Christianity on the Jews. Although today very few Jews, except particularly Hebrew Christians, are evangelists, know anything about this. Yet, in that day, the Jewish leadership well knew. Their own code responses are scattered through all the Jewish writings of that day and some centuries thereafter in tales, prayers, ritual, and folklore. For Jewish scholars created their own equivalents of Piso's code systems and used them with which to answer him. With their code, they referred to his code, and to instances of his use of it, they showed they knew what he and his family were doing, and they expressed their determination that they and their people not be taken in. Repeatedly in their code, they used numbers, words, and allusions to answer him and to express their defiance of his efforts against them. But all this has for centuries been unknown to almost all Jews. They were forced to resort to code. The Pisos, through imperial power, were using the new faith deliberately as their instrument of control of the masses. Writing of this openly would have brought Rome's swift vengeance and the destruction of the Jewish people. As it was, by the time the Third Jewish Revolt was crushed in 135, about half the 8 million Jews in the empire as of the year 65 had perished in the wars. The Jewish response after 135 was to turn away from worldly politics and inward to the world of Talmudic study. Some illustrations of Jewish code responses have been stated, but for this explanation, a detailed summary is not necessary. It's kind of like what people do today. You kind of see it in Christianity as well, if you're paying attention, especially around election years, right? You got the super spiritual Christians and stuff, and some of the super spiritual Hebrews. You know what? We ain't even a part of that system anyway. We shouldn't even be voting. Okay, I get it. I, in turn, sometimes felt that way. But the more I read, the more I realize that's what they want us to do. They want you to go about your business, go on there, stay inside the four walls of your church or your temple, and study your scriptures. Leave us alone out here while we take your land. Go ahead. Go study them scriptures. Leave us alone. Religion and politics don't mix, right? That's what they tell you. So what we do, we separate. That's right. I live in God's kingdom. I am ruled by God's kingdom. I am a citizen of heaven. I am not a citizen of this world. Like all this foolish crap that we end up saying. And in saying that, we think we're being noble. We think we're being spiritual. But in the process, we find ourselves poorer and poorer. And the inheritance that our Father has left for us stays in the hand of our enemies, of those who don't care nothing about you. Your family or your children's children that's coming down the line. Nope. Go ahead and there. Your portion is the scripture, buddy. I could talk about that all day. I'm going to keep on reading this before I run out of time. They were forced to resort to code. Hold on. We might use that as our title for the day. They were forced to resort to code. Hold on. I'm going to leave y'all alone today. They were forced to resort to code. The Pisos, through imperial power, were using the new faith deliberately as their instrument of control of the masses. Writing of this openly would have brought Rome's swift vengeance and the destruction of the Jewish people. As it was, by the time the Third Jewish Revolt was crushed in 135, about half the 8 million Jews in the empire as of the year 65 had perished in the war. The Jewish response after 135 was to turn away from worldly politics and inward to the world of Talmudic study. Some illustrations of Jewish code responses have been stated, but for this explanation, a detailed summary is not necessary. For the proof in the writings of the Pisos and the other non-Jewish writers then, and likewise since, should be amply sufficient. Many pages could be spent detailing the great numbers of writers who have used the Pisos numbers and other inner circle allusions since the first century. A few examples will suffice. And it's given some, and they're in quotes. Okay. First, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. My first day in office was a perfect day. It is far beyond our poor power to add or to detract. 77 years ago, that is, 87, it should be noted that it was, in fact, then 87 years since the Declaration of Independence, but this speech is the only one of Lincoln's speeches which he started with a number. 14 Stations of the Cross, 14-point peace plan, 16 ton, and what do you get? When you were sweet 16, the power of positive thinking, possibly thinking, Shylock, Sherlock, and the doughboys of World War I became the G.I. Joes of World War II, long before St. Patrick's father had been given the name Calpurnius. Hugo Gernsback, the father of modern science fiction, and those who in fact coined the term, wrote the story in 1911. He entitled it Ralph 124C 41 Plus, and subtitled it A Romance of the Year 2660. There were originally 14 Wizard of Oz books. Later, there were 40. A. Conan Doyle wrote 56 Sherlock Holmes stories, plus 4 short novels of Holmes' adventures. The total was 60. Recently, an ubiquitous clergyman politician denigrated the Holocaust by alleging that 60 million blacks were exterminated during the era of slavery. And we all know of famous evangelists who claimed they had visions from the Lord at the age 14 or 16. Fictionalized rewrites of the hidden career of Piso or Josephus appear in the lives of Apollonius of Tyana and of Judah ben-Hur, the Judean prince who was galley slave number 60 in the story until he was adopted by the Roman admiral to become young Arius. Then in the motion picture, Ben-Hur's number was changed to galley slave number 41. Calpurnius Piso had become simply Calpurnius. Inner circle illusions in numbers, names, and various types of clues and hints are all through the world's literature. The Gesta Romanorum, Decameron, hold on. Some of these I know I'm going to screw up, so forgive me ahead of time. And it's listing a lot of these things where this hidden messages all throughout, let's just say Hollywood, right? The Gesta Romanorum, Decameron, Shakespeare, Cervantes, Rabelais, Tolstoy, Milton, Tennyson, Thackeray, Stevenson, Poe, Burns, Browning, Noyes, Pinocchio, Peter Pan, Tolkien, ad infinitum. What is that? I'm not that illiterate, y'all. Hold on. Ad infinitum. As just one example, the poem which introduces Alice in Wonderland mentions prima secunda and tertia. These feminine forms of three. These are feminine forms of three of our old friends. Also, read Kipling's story, The Bisara of Poor. Bisora was the Hebrew word for glad tidings or gospel in English. Poor was an allusion to Mr. Poor or Per, P-U-R. Sherlock Holmes' very last words to Watson in the very last story were, "Someday the true story may be told." Long before The Merchant of Venice, Shakespeare prophesied, Act 2, Scene 2, truth will come to light. In the end, truth will win. In the end, truth will out. And gradually, the truth is spreading. Today, inner circle members and other illusions appear not only in books and stories, but also in motion pictures, television, advertising, and news articles. The inner circle continues inexorably to expand. It was Piso himself who made possible all this deciphering and all the resulting allusions to his secret work. The New Testament can be unraveled only because of Piso's clues. In addition to being a mass murderer and the greatest writer and fabricator who ever lived, I give the devil his due, as did his son Julius in Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. Piso was the world's greatest egoist. He could not resist piling clue after clue and code system after code system into the New Testament. He also repeatedly mocked his own work. In Acts chapter 13, verse 6, the total being 19, he in justice inserted a false prophet named Bar-Jesus, son of Jesus, i.e. Justice. In 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 16, Justice, writing as Paul, boasted that he was crafty and took the believers in by deceit. This knowledge was not intended for the average person, but only for those somehow privileged to be members of this inner circle. In C.S. Lewis's The Inner Ring, which appears in his book, The Weight of Glory, he wrote, quote, "But your genuine inner ring exists for exclusion. There'd be no fun if there were no outsiders. The invisible line would have no meaning unless most people were on the wrong side of it. Exclusion is no accident. It is the essence. End quote. Piso's system and later variations of it by means of new holy books such as the Quran, Das Kapitel, Mein Kampf, the Book of Mormon, with its additional created lineage of the tribe of Joseph. Should we get into that or should we not get into that? Because it's a whole group of people out here now. Turn to the Book of Mormon. I ain't mentioned it, but I seen the foolishness. I just keep my comments to myself and I'm going to keep on rolling, walking down my path of enlightenment. Pushing the foolishness to the side, which is why I ain't brought it up here. We won't even talk about it. Some people gonna hate me for that. Listen, because they serious about that. Hold on. They don't realize they waking up from one lie just to go back to sleep into another lie. And they ain't figured it out yet. I'm just like, it can't be that hard to see. I'm like, now I'm not the smartest person in the world, right? I may not even be the shiniest marble in the box. Y'all see how sometimes I have problems pronouncing words and reading. Y'all, is this girl really illiterate? Who let her read? But that's something I figured out, right? I figured that out. Like, y'all, what is y'all doing? The Book of Mormon, really? Like, I digress. I said I wasn't gonna talk about it. That's all I'm gonna say about it. Okay. Let's go back. Piso system and later variations of it by means of new holy books such as the Quran, Das Kapitel, Mein Kampf, the Book of Mormon, with its additional created lineage of the tribe of Joseph. It's talking about the Book of Mormon and its created lineage. Joy, blindly following, right? The Book of Mormon, with its additional created lineage of the tribe of Joseph. And let me just say, just in case you're not getting the sentence, you're not understanding the sentence, the Pisos created the Book of Mormon too. Let me just say that plain and clear. They created the Quran. They created the Book of Mormon. All these other ones, just like the New Testament, all y'all been taken. Not y'all, but y'all know the ones being taken away by this farce, this heresy. I'll read it again. Piso's system and later variations of it by means of new holy books such as the Quran, Das Kapitel, Mein Kampf, and let me spell that out. Das Kapitel, D-A-S, next word is C-A-P-I-T-A-L. The next one is Mein Kampf, M-E-I-N. The next word is K-A-M-P-F, just in case you wanted to look it up. Das Kapitel, Mein Kampf, the Book of Mormon, with its additional created lineage of the tribe of Joseph, has always been the ideal method with which to control people. With which to control people. With which to control people. Piso, his family, and friends were Stoics until they created Christianity and changed into the church fathers. Stoics believe that people are motivated by and controllable through fear and hope. Piso's creation continued that method. Always the Jews have been available as the repeated scapegoat for those who led or wished to lead the common folk, just as Piso himself made the Jews the scapegoat forevermore in his story because their ancestors refused to accept it. Quote, "His blood be upon us and on our children," end quote. And that's found in Matthew chapter 27, verse 25. Those Christians, certainly not loving Christians by today's standards, who have been professional Jew haters, have loved using inner circle illusions when spreading hatred against Jews. You know what? I think I might use the Book of Mormon in my title today, just for added measure, just in case somebody going to look for it. Now, y'all know y'all here. We don't believe in them shenanigans, but I'm going to put it in here. And if you come here because you was searching for the Book of Mormon, is it true? It's not. You're being led astray if you're following it. I don't care who teaching it. Your teacher could be teaching some good things, but they didn't got off on this right here. I'm just gonna let you know. They off on a few other things too, but if you're coming to learn about the Book of Mormon, stop it. Throw it away. Burn it just like the New Testament. And the ones who teach you the Book of Mormon still stuck in the New Testament. I've seen it. They just changing all the words to Hebrew words. Burn them both. His blood be upon us and on our children. Matthew 27:25. Those Christians, certainly not loving Christians by today's standards, who have been professional Jew haters, have loved using inner circle illusions when spreading hatred against Jews. The issue for Jews is not whether Jesus was an impostor, nor whether or not he was framed. And if that were the issue, perhaps a Jew could rationalize, and we are excellent at rationalizing why people have hated us for 1900 years. Rather, the leaders of the world have always known that this was a fictional story with a fictional hero and fictional characters, and they have inflicted 1900 years of hatred and murder playing God because they knew their story was made up and therefore doubted God's very existence at all. Piso's successor long accused the Jews of killing Jesus and continuing to reject him, which was tantamount to killing him again, when in fact Piso himself had killed him in his own story. Cock Robin's death was self-inflicted. On to the myth of, what is this word? They say decide, but it don't make sense. I'm going to keep reading. Hold on, this is what I'm going to do. Pause 1 second, y'all. Let me look this up before I say this and sound retarded. Hold on. Pause. I think it say this, but I don't know if it's a typo. Let me just type it in. Every time I see a word now, I think about pseudonym. Hold on. And the video yesterday, pseudonym. Okay.
Deicide.
That's how you say it. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to look it up. Okay. On to the myth of deicide. The world's leaders had their poets and writers add such other hateful lies against Jews as the slanderous accusations of host desecration, the blood libel, the wandering Jew fable, the well poisoners, and more recently, the international bankers. The Jews became, to Christian folklore and the popular mind, the embodiment of Satan. By painting the image of the Jew as evil and as cursed by God, the leaders were able to A. explain why the Jews had rejected and killed Jesus and still then continued unwilling to accept him. B. explain why the Jews were still then being treated so badly. And C. have and utilize a convenient object on which to divert the dissatisfaction of their peoples. A German general being asked at Nuremberg trials how the Holocaust events could have been permitted, replied, "I am of the opinion that when for years, for decades, the doctrine is preached that Jews are not even human, such an outcome is inevitable. The image of the Jew as somehow inherently evil persists still today. Sometimes it seems to exist even independent of its theological underpinnings, because modern man no longer thinks only in theological terms. The haters have shifted the evil image, so it today largely rests on conspiracy instead of on deicide. The wrongs, real or imagined, the wrongs, real or imagined, of a single Jew are imputed to allegedly conspiratorial Jews. What? That don't make sense. Hold on. Oh, okay. The wrongs, real or imagined, of a single Jew are imputed to allegedly conspiratorial Jews as a group. The concentration camp guards the SS who murdered Jews, wore belt buckles which announced God is with us, and attended Mass on Sunday, and when they died, they were buried under crosses. Hitler had attended a Catholic school. Years later, he would claim he was doing the church's work against the Jews. Nor has a single Nazi murderer, and even Hitler, ever been excommunicated. But no one thinks to blame all the Christians or the Catholics for the Holocaust, nor should they do so. On the other hand, Karl Marx was converted by his father to Christianity at the age of 6, was raised and schooled as a Christian, and grew up to write vile things against Jews. Yet because he had been born a Jew, Jews as a group have been blamed for Karl Marx and for communism. The Jews as a group have been slandered as international communists, as international bankers, and recently as international Zionists. In the fictional Protocols of Zion, see above, the Jews were falsely accused of scheming to subvert and control the world. In fact, it was Piso and his successors who had themselves succeeded in that scheme for 1900 years. Jews struggled to prevent a reoccurrence of genocide. This time, the Jews of the state of Israel at the hands of the Arabs, recently renamed Palestinians. For that, they are accused of dual loyalties. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to finish reading this and then we're going to be done. All right. And that'll be the end of it, and it has a bunch of footnotes. Okay. In fact, it is the Piso's successors who have always exercised dual loyalties. 1, to their great secret, and 2, to the continuation of their power through it. Hatred and suspicion of Jews still infect popular thinking everywhere. To escape from it, some Jews flee to the supposed idealistic movements of others, some to assimilation, some even to self-hate. They are oblivious to the great secret which supports the hostile climate. Although undreamed of by them, the secret has always been known to the world's non-Jewish religious leadership and theologians. As to Islam, its holy book, the Quran, mentions Jesus in 93 different verses, places him in the line of prophets, and mentions him always as a historical person, an inspired book, but containing Piso's fictional creation. That should make you think, Quran readers. I done read a little bit of it, right? It's my job as a researcher to find out what people doing and make it all make sense, right? So, yeah, the Quran has Piso's, if it was the truth, why I got Piso's fictional characters all up and through it? I'm just saying. As to Islam, its holy book, I'm just saying, I'm not doing that to make fun of anybody that's possibly reading it other than for research purposes, right? I'm just saying, everybody has been made a fool of, right? They've pinned different people against other sets of people by using their religious books that they've written, right? The separation in the world is because of religion. Those of us who should be working together, no matter what race, background, color, creed you are, they have divided us with religion, right? Even more so than the race riots and stuff, right? Race was never a thing till religion came in. Clearly, we knew people were different colors and different ethnicities, right? But that was never a problem until they started religion. We mingle with everybody, right? People are different. Yahuwah's creation is different. Yahuwah loves variety. If y'all haven't figured it out by now, creation is full of diverse and beautiful different things. Everything beautiful in its own right. I can't say that snake plant is ugly because it's not a corn plant, right? They're both beautiful. They're diverse, but they're from the same plant family. Let's say that. I'm still working on my garden and farmer's lingo. So it's a plant, but they're different plants. I don't know what species necessarily, but y'all get what I'm saying, right? Just because they're different don't mean one is better than the other. They're both beautiful. They're different. And Yahuwah designed it to be that way, right? We get all types of flavors of people. They're all beautiful, right? Same family, same human family. Even some people would say that that's not true, but we ain't gonna get into all that. I'm telling you, I know about all this stuff that's going on out here in the world and all the different religious and all these things is constantly keeping us pitted against one another that all stem from religion. All that foolishness comes out of religion, y'all. Okay, look, I'm telling you. Cock Robin's death was self-inflicted. I'm going to read this thing about the Islam again. As to Islam, its holy book, the Quran, mentions Jesus in 93 different verses, places him in the line of prophets, and mentions him always as an historical person, an inspired book, but containing Piso's fictional creation. The Quran's Surah, chapter, it's a long Roman number, I don't even know, XXV I. So I think this 10, 20, 25, 26, 27, 28. The Quran's Surah chapter 28 makes Pharaoh's prime minister at the time of Moses, Haman. Surah 3 makes the husband of Mary, Jesus' mother, Amram. In the Bible, Amram was actually Moses' father. Again, Surah XIX, I don't know. Surah XIX makes Mary, Jesus' mother, also the sister of Aaron, who in fact was Moses' brother. This confusion, which made Jesus' mother also Moses' sister, was, if not inner circle hinting, obviously erroneous. However, there are indications that the founders of Islam, too, had inner circle knowledge. Okay, these are some footnotes. Let me read them because they got them right in here. A, there are 114 chapters in the Quran because 100 is KP and 14 equals 60, which is Calpurnius Piso. B, Muhammad flies to heaven from a bridge upon a fabulous animal described either as a winged mare or as an ass. A mare is a female horse, and the horse was an allusion to Piso. The ass was an allusion to Jesus. See, the Quran, Surah 4, says that the Jews did not crucify Jesus, but rather the one who was represented for him in his likeness. D, XIX 19. Thank you. Obedience to y'all. Okay, so that was, let me go back up. Surah 19. Okay, Surah 19. All right. D, according to Arabs, the beautiful names of God are 99 in number, and there are 99 beads on the Muslim rosary, which are divided into 3 groups of 33 each. When the Catholic Church at Vatican II was debating to what degree it should exonerate the Jews of the charge of deicide, President Nasser of Egypt sent to the church a manuscript opposing the exoneration. The manuscript's length was 600 pages. Everybody here, I think everybody here, at least those who understand who the real people are, let me not just say that, but y'all should be familiar with President Nasser's, what's that, Nasser, Nasser, Nasser. Y'all should be familiar with him, right? It was a picture floating around social media on the front of a Time magazine that had it had him saying that we cannot accept. It was a message to the European converts there in this slither they call Israel now, calling themselves Jews. He was the president of Egypt that said, we cannot accept you because the Jews, the Hebrews left black, but you came back white. That was him. President Nasser. I think I said his name right. Nasser. He was the president of Egypt. Okay. I read that again. When the Catholic Church at Vatican II was debating to what degree it should exonerate the Jews of the charge of deicide, President Nasser of Egypt sent to the church a manuscript opposing the exoneration. The manuscript's length was 600 pages. As to the communists, Karl Marx was a student of Bruno Bauer in a Berlin university. Bauer was the only Bible scholar who ever openly wrote that the New Testament arose from the synthesis of the ideas of Seneca and Josephus, although for whatever reason omitting mention of Josephus's father. He also believed correctly that Jesus was a creation by the composer of the Gospel Mark. Now, some people who are waking up to the truth, they will tell you, okay, yeah, I don't believe in Jesus anymore, but I believe in Yeshua. I'm like, my G, it's the same person. You still, okay, so tell me about this Yeshua. He still did the same things that Jesus did, but you don't believe in Jesus. You don't realize you just changed the name, right? And some people can't get it. It's shaking them. It's breaking them down. They don't know what to do. And that's, I'm like, listen, y'all, he never existed. It was only Yahuwah. Right? For some reason, they think that there's a bridge. And I get it. That's the way Christianity, it was designed to make you subservient to those who wanted to control you. Right? You can't go to God just directly. You need a middleman. No, we don't. Go ahead. Take me away. I'm telling you, we don't. Right? Look, Joy, I'm telling you, I was sick for days. Matter of fact, I was sick for weeks. Right? Even look, you go back and watch some of my early videos. When I was coming out, you will see the point where I too realized, oh, shoot. This is still the same person I'm talking about. I didn't completely put away Jesus, but I'm still talking about Yeshua or Yahusha. Although I was explaining it in a way, you'll see I began to explain it in a way where Yahusha means Yahuwah, right? But it was still confusing to me, and I didn't want to confuse other people, which is why I put the term away altogether, right? Because if you're saying Yahusha, it still got you formed with that mindset that there is a savior other than Yah himself, right? So that's why I said, and I in quite a few videos, I'm like, we're just gonna put away that name altogether. And although I was explaining Yeshua is like another name for Yah, like another nickname for Yah, like I have a nickname. Like my name is Pamela, but some family members and friends call me Pam or PJ Sparkles. They call me the shortened version of my long name, Pam, right? But these are not multiple people. It's still me. And that's how the name Yeshua or Yahusha is for Yah. It's just another nickname for the Creator himself. But some people still didn't understand that, which is why I chose to stop using that particular attribute name of Yahuwah, which means salvation, right? I am the only Savior, which he constantly repeats over and over again, right? People still aren't getting that because they fresh out the church and they don't know how to divide it and separate it, right? So we stop using it all together, right? Yeshua, Yahusha, Yehoshua, however you want to say it, that's still Jesus. You just took away his English Christian name and you renamed him a Hebrew name to make it feel a little bit better. Get rid of them both. I know that sounds like blasphemy, y'all. I know it sounds like blasphemy, but I'm telling you, it's not. People have written me off as a heretic. I'm telling you, I'm like, y'all are not paying attention to what I'm saying. Now, y'all ain't got to pay attention to what I'm saying. You are not even reading what's in your face that you claim to read and live. How are y'all still getting this, right? I'm just saying. But we can talk about it. We can talk about this, y'all. Let's go through this together and pull these up, right? Okay. We almost done, y'all. I literally got like this small little blurb left. And it goes into the next page and the rest of this footnote. So we're going to finish it today. We're at an hour and 20 minutes. Okay. Hold on. Let me go back. Let me read this. As to the communists, Karl Marx was a student of Bruno Bauer in a Berlin university. Bauer was the only Bible scholar who ever openly wrote that the New Testament arose from the synthesis of the ideas of Seneca and Josephus, although for whatever reason, omitting mention of Josephus's father. He also believed correctly that Jesus was a creation by the composer of the Gospel of Mark. CP are the initials used for the Communist Party. 3 C's and a P appear as the Cyrillic initials for the USSR. Pointedly, on the 60th anniversary of the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, that country sent greetings to the American people. It mentioned, in boasting of the accomplishments of Soviet medicine, that a woman had been revived after appearing for 24 hours to have been dead. Today, some of our Jewish brethren who were formerly atheists have found Jesus, and they too have gone into the evangelism business. Messianic Judaism, the great balloon hoax of the current period, knows much of this information. Jews are being lured from their own religion by people for money and the ego because the enticers do not believe, as Piso himself did not believe, in God. Otherwise, they could not peddle what they know is not true. Y'all ever seen Jews for Jesus? Y'all, these movements make me holler. I am tickled, right? Listen, it's not blasphemy. It's there in the text. You're right. Listen. Guys, these new movements, and this is the Jews for Jesus is not a new movement, but I'm just like, the more I understand this, the more I'm just like, how dumb can we be? Right? The story that they give to you, right, about the Jews and who they're supposed to be, now to up their game one more, now they're preaching to the Jews the same garbage that they've been preaching to other people that they have now labeled Christians and Christianity. Now they're preaching to the Jews because what do they want to do? They want to purify their ranks, so to speak. They want to get the holy-poly or the ignorant folk amongst the Jews out from them and put them over here with Christians. And thus, the movement Jews for Jesus was born. It should have been called Dumb and Dumber. I'm not making fun of them. But this is so funny to me now that I understand this. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm laughing because I used to be there. I used to support Jews for Jesus. I laugh at myself because I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And it's another way to pad the pockets even more. We need more money. Yeah, let's do this. Okay? Y'all, this is... Oh, let me hurry up and finish this. Today, some of our Jewish brethren who were formerly atheists have found Jesus, and they too have gone into the evangelism business. Messianic Judaism, the great balloon hoax of the current period, knows much of this information. Jews being lured from their own religion by people for money and ego, And because the enticers do not believe, as Piso himself did not believe in God, otherwise they could not peddle what they know is not true. Of course, nothing contained herein or nor herewith questions the religious belief nor sincerity expressed by any person or group whomsoever. Hey, babe.
What's up, babe?
Needless to say, you should be careful with this information, for the world does indeed need Jesus, that is, the Christian Bible and belief therein, until that far day when mankind shall have progressed to a higher level of conduct than anything in the foreseeable future, until all the sons of Bosar or Besora will call upon God's name. And he said they're going to probably need it to keep them in line, right? To kind of keep them until everybody comes to the realization that there is one God alone, right? Let them have it to them. It'll keep them until they wake up, right? Listen. Piso himself teased that there is nothing covered that will not be revealed and hidden that will not be known. Matthew chapter 10, verse 26. Perhaps he was thinking of those verses actually intended as prophecies and which appear in the Hebrew scriptures, the only Bible, right? And he put in parentheses that the Hebrew scriptures are the only Bible. Quote, O Lord, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction, the nations shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things therein where there is no profit. Shall a man make gods unto himself, and they are no gods? Jeremiah chapter 16, verses 19 through 20. Thus saith Yahuwah, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men out of all the languages of the nations shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, we will go with you, for we have heard that God is with you. Zechariah chapter 8, verse 23. And the sons of the stranger that join themselves to Yahuwah to serve him and to love the name of Yahuwah, even them will I bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. For my house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations. Isaiah chapter 56, verse 6 through 7. So what he was saying was maybe this is good for the world, right? Until humanity has developed far enough to where they realize that there is only one creator, and they decide to return to him and understand him and know him and love him. Maybe they need this until all humanity is at that point where they all can walk in unison and say, oh yeah, you are one, right? We at that time now, y'all. This is the day. Last little section and we are done with this book. This is 11. The truth makes us free. It is not incumbent upon you to finish the work, yet you are not free to desist from it. End quote. And that's from Perky Avoth 2.21. I'm going to have to look it up myself. Since Piso's day, each few centuries have seen repeated holocausts against Jews, and herein possibly lies a meaning from the recent Holocaust. Jews can only be free of Piso's story and of the anti-Semitism it has fostered when they acquire positive perception, insight into the creation of Christianity. Only with that knowledge can they effectively struggle against attempts to eliminate them physically by Holocaust or spiritually by craftiness and guile. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 16. The Chazal totaled the commandments at 613. They were willing to use 600 inconspicuous... Hold on. They were willing to use 600 inconspicuously as a part of the total, but they openly used the number 13 in order to show their deliberate rejection of 14 and of Piso, whom it represented. Commitment to Jewish survival has recently been wisely urged as the answer to the recent Holocaust and the 614th commandment. But in addition, when Jews know and remember why this and all the other Holocausts occurred, will this truth, in the words of John chapter 8, verse 32, in fact, make them free of Piso's story. And that, my beautiful people, is the reading for today. That is the end of this book. The rest of it, we actually read during the first reading, which is simply the footnotes, right? The footnotes. So throughout the entire reading, it has numbers, small numbers and references, beside a lot of the words. I didn't call out those references while I was reading, because the first time through we actually read those references. So if you want to hear those references, you can go back to the last video of the first time we read it, and I'll put the link in the video, but if I sit here and read it, it's just going to sound like a bunch of non-related sentences put together, because it's giving you references from throughout the book when we were reading where to go to get more on this particular thing, right? So I'm not going to read through it again, but you can order it right now. They got it back in stock where it's printing, so if you want to have a copy, like I said, it's like $10. Go get it. I ain't getting paid for none of this, right? But I so enjoy reading it to you for those who can't purchase it, right, for whatever reason. All right, beautiful people. It is December the 7th, 2021, Tuesday, day 321 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 989. We read Proverbs 10, 11, and 12. And we read the rest of the true authorship of the New Testament. All right, beautiful people. Let's go. She just went back upstairs too. Let's go ahead and do the blessing. I don't want to scream in y'all ears. Bella! And I scream in y'all ears anyway. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Joy. Blessing. Let me call her real quick. I don't want to deal with her little tiny attitude today. Bella! I'm about to do the blessing. You want to do it? Okay, I hear you. Wait, is you stomping? Oh, you running. I thought you was stomping like, why I'm disturbing you.
I stomp and I run.
Okay, put that. Oh, damn.
And I'm eating some cereal.
You're eating some cereal?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm not wasting.
All right, very good. Dad let you take that upstairs?
No.
Oh. No, so where's your cereal?
In the dining room.
Oh, okay.
That's what we eat.
Oh, but you went upstairs, you left your cereal. Oh, okay. Okay, y'all. Remember, the blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. You got to rest your feet right there, girl. Okay. Hands to the most holy. Show him reverence. Love him. Right? And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahuwah will kneel before us, presenting gifts, and will guard us with a hedge of protection. Yahuwah will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards us, bringing order, and he will provide us with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahuwah will lift up his wholeness of being and look upon us, and he will set in place all we need to be whole and complete. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. And that is it for today. Talane, hey girl, hey. All right, y'all. In the coming days, I'm going to start sharing some stuff with y'all.
Mommy.
This is so...
Oh.
Yes, babe. I know. I probably should have said this before we did the blessing.
Let's just the video.
Okay. All right. Well, how about you go finish eating your cereal? Oh, because you want to hit the button. Okay, listen. Let me just say this real quick, and then we'll end this. in the coming days, right? Shalom. I'm gonna start sharing some stuff about ancient Egypt and what was actually happening there while Israel was there, right? You would have thought that would have been obvious while reading through the Old Testament, but I never really focused in on it until I actually started doing a little bit more research into ancient Egypt, or ancient Kemet, or some people pronounce it Kamata, right? It's really interesting to me, and it's blowing my mind. But I think it's gonna be helpful for us as we grow, so we can learn some things and we can see it. I'm just saying, you're really gonna enjoy it. I have a book that I ordered, and I'm going through it, but I want to make sure it ain't no heresy in it, right? But there are some things that I clearly know how to separate, right? So if I choose to read it, it's a big book. I'm not going to tell you the name of it just yet. I'm still going through it. I'm trying to go through some things, but I'm understanding exactly what ancient Egypt was doing, right? And if I understand this correctly, I'm just taking a few more days to really look into this, and I'm praying. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Wait a minute. And so then I started thinking, this is why you sent Joseph there? You allowed Joseph to be sold there? Because they were they were actually a righteous nation for a period of time, right? Because they got with the shenanigans too, and Egypt started changing. Remember when Joseph died? Think about it. Pharaoh accepted Joseph in. Granted, all the things that Joseph had to go through, but for the most part, ancient Egypt and this might sound a little foreign to our ears simply because we're only taught about Egypt from the time Yahuwah brings them out, because at that point Egypt had changed, leadership had changed, and also what was beginning to happen with their priests, and they also had priestess, it began to change. I'm like, holy crap. Even Moses, he sent Moses. He allowed, remember when they were killing the babies and stuff? Moses was even sent into Egypt. That's where Moses had grown up, and he learned a lot of things, right? I'm like, wait a minute. How come we never put this together? It's amazing, y'all. I want to kind of preface that for you, because as we get into some of the deities of Egypt and the gods that they worship, you got to understand all of this, right? So this is what study is for. Let's get rid of the spooky. Oh my gosh, don't leave me off. I'm not leaving you off. But let's get the full story so we can understand exactly what was going on, right? Nobody really ever teaches us about what Egypt was doing. We just know, okay, there was oppressing the people, making them build buildings without the proper ingredients they needed, and was whooping them. That's pretty much all we hear. And they worship multiple gods, so they had to go, right? But here's let me drop a little nugget on you, right? And we're gonna break down. This is amazing, y'all. This is so amazing. We're gonna break down some of these gods of Egypt, right? Remember how when Moses came and he said, y'all said, let my people go, right? Mind you, Egypt could have been destroyed for a multitude of things after that. Their community changed and it wasn't so righteous anymore. Because remember, Egypt was the power of the world. Yahuwah's hand was on Egypt, right? Think about it. The Egyptians, if you got to understand who the real Egyptians were, they were the powerhouses of the world. They traded with the entire world, right? Yahuwah blessed them because they were a righteous nation, right? Not only were they righteous, but they honor Yah in such a way that they didn't defile nature, right? Which is one of the issues that they had with Israel, right? Israel was doing a lot of pagan things that Egypt, we would think, how we were taught, we would think Egypt is more pagan than Israel, when in fact, Israel was being a little bit more pagan than Egypt was, because Israel, remember, remember how when they came in and Pharaoh told Joseph, he said, give them the land of Goshen. They can put them over there. It's the best portion of the land. They can do whatever they do over there. But remember when Yahuwah said, when Moses said to Pharaoh, he said, let us go out to the wilderness to worship Yah, because let us go, but let us take our livestock too. He said, no, you go worship your God, but leave your livestock here. And he said, well, we got to sacrifice our livestock. And here's the kicker. He said, what we sacrifice is an abomination to you, right? Egypt didn't necessarily worship cows and stuff. They treated everything as sacred. Egypt was a plant-based community nation. They didn't eat meat. They didn't kill the animals because they were one with the Creator, and they said everything was sacred. It was the respect that they had against nature and all of Yah's creation, where they said that's an abomination. Do not slaughter the animals. Israel was like, we gonna slaughter animals. We about to have a cookout, my G. Because you're going to kill us if we do this here in your land. We know you don't like to kill the animals, so let us go out here and be bloody and nasty and eat the meat. Y'all want to share this with y'all so bad. But anyway, that's just a little preview. Just a preview. Yes, obedience to Yah. The Most High did promise to redeem and bless Egypt as well. We're going to start bringing out a lot of this stuff about Egypt and why Yahuwah always sent his people into Egypt. Egypt was a safe place for Israel because Egypt was probably the only nation in the world at that time who was not defiling everything. They literally, even their priests, like I said, they had priests, not just men, but they also had priestess, which were women who were also holy, right? And did you know, and I've learned this by looking at some of the hieroglyphs and learning about the hieroglyphic things. If you look at them, they have the different gods with the different head wraps. They all not all of them. It's just different. You have bodies and they have heads of lions or different types of head dresses. And the women, it seemed like they had like a bowl on their head, like with the sun in between. And they carried the Ankh. The Ankh represent eternal life, but not eternal life like the Christian world teaches it. It's an eternal life, an understanding that life is sacred and life is eternal, right? Life is an extension of the life giver, right? So that's why you will see the statues and the hieroglyphs holding the Ankh, right? They have a proper understanding of what the Ankh is, to where in Christianity and other places, they turn you against all of these things. But ancient Kemet or Kamata, they were actually a holy people. Y'all, this is freaking blowing my mind. I'm like, I gotta tell them. We gotta read through this together. Yo, it's giving so many references of things, and then I go back and double check it with the scriptures. I'm like, man, Israel, what was y'all doing? I would have made y'all leave the animals here. Y'all going out there and do that. Leave the animals alone. Let them live, right? Yo, it's warm my mind. Which gives further proof to me that Yahuwah said, I never required you to slaughter animals, right? I never required you to slaughter animals. I simply wanted you to do what was right, right? Remember, then Israel had their priesthood. Remember, I told y'all, it's like, y'all, something about these sacrifices not quite seeming right, and you got the men and stuff. And Israel separated the women from the men, and so the men went full on doing what they wanted to do. They shut out the women from being priestess, right? To where in Egypt, there was a balance between both the sexes. They honored the women just like they honored the men. And they said, we know that you are an extension of the great Creator, right? What do they call them? There was a couple of different cultures called God or Yah, different things. Like we transition from God to Yah. Different ones call them the Great Spirit. Just different things, right? And they called him the Netter. And everything that comes from the Netter is Neturu, right? So they looked at everything as coming from the Creator as pure and holy, and we honor it as such. So just like men can be holy and set apart to Yah, women can too. Yah or the Great Spirit or the Great Netter will use women just like he will use the men, because the man and a woman together represents the oneness of the Great Netter, right? The great creator. The man and a woman is a complete picture when they come together of the unity, the oneness of our creator, who took the best portions of himself and began to divide it within nature. So everything that comes out of the netter is neturu, or everything that comes out of the creator is his creation. Man is his creation. Woman is his creation. But when you bring them together, it's a perfect picture of who he is, which is why there can't just be the man, or there can't just be the woman, right? They come together and make the perfect picture. It's a perfect example to all of creation on this is how it should be, right? You hear some people referring to God as Father. Some people referring to God as Mother. In all actuality, without getting into fights, you both are correct, but you both are missing a part, right? Yahuwah is both together. He is one. And we see the separation down here when he's trying to get us to see everything that has been separated is really one, and it all comes out of him, right? I am Father. I am Mother. I am one. I am teaching you that by taking the best part of me and dividing it up and letting you guys learn and grow and put the puzzle, the picture back together to understand that everything comes out of me. Male, female, light, darkness, good, evil. I am one. Y'all, we are living in a real puzzle. This is like a video game. And each level of spiritual attainment and growth is like we make it to the next level of the game. Y'all, this gets so exciting. I really want to share all this with y'all, but we gotta go. I love y'all. And that's the end of the video today. Tootie baby, come press the button. That's just a little bit. I'm so excited about this, y'all. I want to share it. So we got to learn about these things so we can grow a little bit more. Come on, Karen.
I was eating.
Go ahead and end it. I love y'all. Peace. Go ahead. Oh, you can't see it right there. Up. Up.
I got it.
Okay, there you go.
I go over here, go down.
Very good, Tootie. Shalom.